everybody. We'll call the meeting to order for September 13th, 2023. There are no comments from observers. Let's go to the approving the minutes of the regular and closed meetings of August 16th, 2023. First closed meeting minutes. Any discussion or questions or changes? If not, can I have a motion to approve the closed minutes of August 16th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes 5-0. Now moving on to the regular minutes of August 16th. Any questions, comments, amendments? If not, can I have a motion to approve the regular minutes?
So moved. Second.
And moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving on to the director's report, page 3.
Good evening, everyone. So the big thing here is the third floor renovation update. Things are transitioning to the point where we will hand off the third floor to SMC, our construction manager. They were out recently, yesterday, I believe, for a visit to the site coordinator, the site superintendent, to just kind of walk through the area with us and get a sense of any issues that we might be facing, and also kind of figure out a little bit of the demolition logistics, discarding trash and that kind of thing. So I think that we're looking good. Everything's on course. I just want to mention Laura, our deputy director, is doing an amazing job handling all the things. We call it logistics, but that basically includes like everything. And Laura is backed up by Susie's been really instrumental in all of this work too. And don't come to the third floor right now. It's not our best state, you know. It's obviously not going to look better until the renovation is completed. So, and then all the other staff who are involved with kind of breaking down their workspaces, transitioning to either first floor workspaces or starting next week, some people moving over to the temp office down the street on Upton. So many people have been really active in helping, and Laura can speak more to this. I don't know if you want to add anything about that, this whole process.
I would just say our building services crew and our IT team have been working nonstop to help support all of this. So kudos to all of them, and we're making lots of progress. It's going to get done by October 1st.
Everything's going to work out. So,
Yeah.
The next item I have here is just I shared an update with the board already, but as you know, we've been having just these unfortunate incidents. I don't think we really need to dive into all the specifics and everything. Suffice it to say that it's been somewhat frustrating, disconcerting, upsetting, you know. So we are trying to create a response plan with these folks that is these false threats that are coming in, not just to our library, but to kind of point it at libraries in the area, all around the area. And we think we have a good response plan. It's in draft mode right now. We're getting some feedback, and we'll continue to ask staff for feedback, and then Leah and our team will roll it out and do some training as needed for our librarian in charge crew and safety staff. So the response plan was created and written in collaboration with Chief Baker, who's been, I have to just commend the police department here for their responses over all of these incidents. Very supportive, communicative, working with us, responding to questions, clarifications about like how they would like us to respond to some of these. So yeah.
I did a story on NPR this morning on WBEZ about this on my way, and I heard it. Yeah, so they didn't say very much, just that these types of issues have been escalating, not just in this area, but other areas as well. And just kind of bringing light to the issue and in particular, talking about the timing of the most recent incident that happened this past week, aligning with, other political events that were happening in the state at the same time, so.
Yeah, I mean. We don't know
Right.
the intent, the rationale, and kind of all the reasoning, of course, but. So I want to be careful not to.
Of course.
Complete the issues, but yeah, it is true. It's been happening, like I said, all to a lot of libraries in the area. But Chief Baker and I were discussing last night, actually, like it's really, we're both very glad that we're working with each other to coordinate and respond appropriately. We've been talking about this stuff even before yesterday, so. And this obviously, my director's report was written last week, so. It's good. I think we're in a good position, it's just unfortunate that this kind of thing is happening.
Have you been discussing this with other local libraries too? They seem to come in not just one library, right? It's groups, so
So, yeah,
okay.
no, there's a lot of discussion.
amongst everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Among the various directors in the area, and we're all trying to just kind of share any information, behind tips, and I shared our draft response plan. I said this is a work in progress, but it's also.
Great.
So yeah, we're definitely trying to learn from each other.
Richard, how would this kind of segue to the Blue Point
Yeah.
religion? How does that affect it?
It really does it because that type of like false threat is not an instance where we would want anyone to follow Blue Point Pole Station. Because that kicks it into high gear in terms of like treating it as an active weapons threat. So this is not, these types of hoaxes are not confirmed credible threats. So the Blue Point installation is more designed for actually like people witnessing
Like
like
internal?
inside,
Oh.
yeah, the library, yeah, that there is actually someone in the building that who's causing harm or intending to cause harm, and then that can be pulled, and then it'll immediately initiate police response, and they are positioned in areas where staff are have the ability to pull them, so we're not putting them in open park areas where staff are not stationed.
So these spotting incidents, are they all external? Are the threats coming from?
It's hard to say because they're masked kind of, but they're through VPNs. Like I believe a lot of these are coming from Germany, but that's not to say that they're actually brokered in Germany. It's just that that's how they're shipping here, so it's really difficult. I'm assuming the police and the other things, but from what I understand, it's been
But it's like coming from the outside, right? Like someone's calling in.
right, right.
Okay.
Yes, right, exactly. Through like chat or anything. Yeah, we mentioned Blue Point. I know it's a little delayed, where I was hoping for the summer, but there are a lot of like elements to installing this correctly, and we don't want to rush this, so we don't want to launch when a component is not lined up, so the announcements, the sound system, the training, the administrators module, like all that needs to be lined up, and then we can launch, so I hope that it's soon, but want to be thorough, preparation for that. But that's one item is, I don't want to make a sad situation even sadder, but Blythe is retiring at the end of the month. We're very thankful for her many years of service to the library. Blythe was hired, joined us in 2017 and has just done a fantastic job as you've all seen, so, and she's just a great colleague as well, so I just want to publicly, thank Blythe for her time here and her work here. Yeah. Well, we have I think Susie has a little thing after. I'm sorry for ruining the surprise.
To go.
Make sure he's enough, he has to stay. Let me echo what Richard, I was on board before Blake came, so we saw the difference that you made. Correctly, professional, helpful, things. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the other two are self-explanatory, but if anyone has any questions about any of the things I mentioned in the director's report, I'm happy to comment for them.
Hearing none, let's move on to the disbursement report. Pages 5 to 14. Questions about that? I had a question about page 6, under health, dental, life insurance, pet issue.
We offer like but do you want to explain what
Yeah,
how that works?
It's no cost to the library. It's a pass through. We offer it. But people pay for it and they pay for all of it. Like, health insurance, the library pays a portion. This is something that employees can choose, but they pay for the full cost of pet insurance.
So the 1550 is us passing through some employees paying.
I think one or two employees.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
there's no cost to the library.
we've offered this for
We've had
years
it.
now, but I don't know if it's a really popular.
We've had it for a while, 2 or 3 people, then nothing, and someone recently signed up for it. So.
Okay.
Richard,
Yes.
62 reading, research and writing.
Yes.
The ESCO and the newspaper, what is that?
Those are, so, anything under this category of budget line is our, subscription databases that we subscribe to. So these are like news article sources or, magazine article sources that, or, databases, I should say, that people can access through our website online. So it's like a research tool.
Is that like, monthly subscription?
No, one,
Yearly?
year annual.
Annual?
Yeah, that's why a lot of these numbers are larger, and it's also why, it's not kind of like evenly distributed throughout the calendar, you have that fiscal year. So, yeah.
I had a question under 6250 for the Sound Incorporated for a little over 10 grand. When I had emailed you about it, you had specified that it was about like the additional speakers and PA system adjustments. So could you just provide clarity? I know we had talked about putting extra speakers in that one hallway, for example, when the tornado happened and we couldn't hear. What other adjustments do you know are incorporated within that $10,000 spend?
So this, I believe this in particular is related, it's related to our Blue Point response system and the piece of equipment or components that are needed to program our,
Okay.
and with, in alignment with the Blue Point
Okay.
messaging.
Okay,
We will have some other sound incorporated, invoices that you'll see on future,
okay,
disbursement reports where we're adding new speakers like you just mentioned, like to the hallways, to the petty, to certain offices. There's corridors for the study rooms. So for the youth study room area. So we're everywhere where our safety manager and others identified gaps in where the PA announcements are heard. So
Okay.
we're adding speakers.
okay, great.
That's all related to Blue Point.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if it was just Blue Point or if there were other improvements happening, separate of that or whatnot, so.
Yeah, it's all because of Blue Point, but obviously the speakers will be used for any type of data, not just Blue Point.
Richard, under 6,300, I know overdrive, but what is Midwest?
Midwest Tape is our Hoopla, the streaming everything. Streaming video, audio,
Audio.
ebooks,
Yep.
yeah. Graphic novels, you name it, you can get it on. It's not meant to be an advertisement, but
Other questions or comments? Now, can I get a motion to approve the August 2023 disbursement report?
So moved.
Next, since it's money, we'll hold it individually. Mary,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
yes, Shabna.
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
yes is 5-0. Moving on to the approval of chiller replacement pay app, which form looks awfully familiar for those of you who were around for the last renovation, and I assume the way we'll be looking at the pay for renovations as well.
Yes.
Richard, you want
Yeah,
to walk us through?
yeah, I'll try to make it really simple. For the last renovation project and also the roofing replacement project and now the chiller project. Anytime we have a situation where we're working with a consultant and they're directing the work of a contractor, as the work is completed, they'll send the bill, the invoice up to that point to our consultant, and they'll comment to us on whether or not everything looks right and accurate. Then they'll let us know so that we can then pay, have to check and pay the contractor. So this is a proportionate to what they've completed so far for the children project. And so the contractor is actually local mechanical services, the main contractor. And then you'll also, I just want to point out one thing, you see that where it says retainage. That's important because there's a portion of the total cost that or the invoice that's always held back. So that's only paid out when they complete the entire project. It's completely wrapped up. So it's just kind of like a way for us to hold our accountants accountable for a massive project. So you'll see this, and you'll see future payouts through the completion of the chiller replacement project. As Julia mentioned, you'll start seeing payouts for the third floor renovation. Those will be basically greenlit by SMC and reviewed by SMC and Andrew Berman architect, or we even get that will pass it on to the board.
Questions, clarification?
How long is the chiller replacement take?
Yeah, I think Benny said that our building services manager has been in contact with them and apparently they're finding for the fall. I had thought that it would might have been a little later, but I think it sounds like maybe they got all of the components and parts. But I think sometime in the next few months, it's up to contact.
Good questions, comments? Matt, can I get a motion to approve chiller replacement pay applications at total cost of $249,209? Second,
Second.
and all in favor, we have to vote individually. Ella? Yes. Shabna?
Yes.
Yes. Michelle?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Moving on to the consent agenda, pages 17 through 35. Questions, comments, highlights?
Based off of what I've seen in the community and being at community events, it's really been just wonderful to see a presence from the library, we continue to show up for the community. I think that there are children and adults alike who are coming and stopping by and looking for us, so it's really nice to see us continue to have that presence. So thank you so much to all of our staff that work hard to get us there.
Yeah, thank you for recognizing that and mentioning it. I just want to call out Nancy Phillips, community engagement manager, and her entire team is terrific, and they intentionally look at all those events and make sure that we try our best to staff and have some presence at everyone else. Thank you.
And one call that I had mentioned to Richard, I'll just mention to you guys, I came to the library, I can't remember what day it was, and I was driving home, and I saw that they had the Touch a Truck event, and I was like, there's the school bus and the fire truck. I was thinking, how cool would it be to have the bookmobile there as part of that kind of larger vehicle event? So that was something I brought up to Richard to consider for the future, because there was nothing there but happy families and happy kids all going on buses and trucks and cars. And I just think that the bookmobile is the coolest truck around, you know, and it'd be really cool.
We're biased, but I agree with you.
Yeah. That the kids were just, I can't even express like just the joy on their faces as they were getting on there and honking the horn and like walking around on the UPS truck of all things, you know, just getting really excited. So
We're cool. Yes.
I think so. I think that would be a good event to consider. Like, I think what Michelle said is right. We're always at the best events and everything, but I always try to keep my eyes open for additional opportunities that could be especially relevant. And that one kind of popped up for me.
Yeah, I think we have, I'm not entirely certain, but I believe we have participated in that in the past thing. I definitely passed on that comment
great.
so that we can consider that in the future.
Thanks.
Yeah.
The comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. We don't need to approve the consent agenda. So,
Yeah, we should approve,
you want to approve?
we should approve it all at once.
Make a motion to approve consent agenda.
So move.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Now moving on to the approval of the art acquisition policy, page 36.
This, as you recall, was discussed last month. The board had some really helpful feedback about different areas within the draft policy that we wanted to just add a little bit more explanation and kind of wording. And so we went back and added, I believe I highlighted, yes, so in the copy that you see, I highlighted the sections that were added. So if the board is okay with this version, we can move forward and assemble a small committee and start actually having meetings and discussions to kind of put this in action and think about what we might want to do in terms of near-term art acquisition. Determine if there's any reason or desire to the accession, so some artwork. That part, we will probably want to just wait until after the renovation is completed, because all of that artwork that's not displayed in our building at this point is all neatly wrapped up and professionally wrapped up, I should say, and secured and stored in our building. So we'll have the ability to look at that in a fresh way after the renovation. I also just had one question about, I mentioned to Jean that the question of the board member would be a kind of an advisory role on that art committee. If the board doesn't have to decide anything now, or I don't need a volunteer necessarily tonight, but if the board approves this policy and we go forward with this art committee, at some point it would be helpful to identify who would be interested in participating. Again, no rush or anything on that.
Questions, comments about the policy? Seems to reflect what we talked about last month. And I get a motion to approve the art acquisition policy as presented.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes unanimously. On to the approval of the Limerick Intergovernmental Agreement Resolution. We'll start on page 42. Run through page 52 plus the attachment that Richard sent out separately. which actually had the language. Yeah, the highlights.
So, I can go through all the changes one by one. I honestly don't feel how isn't necessary. But essentially Limerick is the consortium that we belong to get medical, dental, vision, life, and other ancillary coverages for our employees, for benefit eligible employees. Because it's a network of government units that are working together to pull together for this purpose, there's an intergovernmental agreement that's in place so that we can all band together and make a consortium. The IGA, the intergovernmental agreement that was in place was not updated recently. It hasn't been updated, I should say. And so the board of directors, of which I'm a member, and our attorney, the Limerick attorney, and our Limerick administrators, a lot of our Newman, got together and just made sure that we cleaned up all the existing ideas. So there's resolutions outlining administrative changes to clean up just like kind of more, again, administrative little items like address updates or reference to a program that is no longer called that program. And then there are more substantive changes about like certain fees required if, say, a member organization doesn't attend a full member meeting and isn't really engaging with the consortium, or if a member organization wants to pull out, if there are certain there's certain language added about the requirements for which they can do that. So none of the I attend the board meetings for Limerick. I've been involved with the discussions about this throughout. I'm not concerned, or there's no concern about any of the changes that you see. So if you have any specific questions, I'll do my best to explain. A lot of this stuff is honestly like kind of agreement legalese type issues. But if everything looks okay, I recommend that the board approve the Limerick IGA resolutions.
Questions, clarification, concerns?
How many other libraries are part of this?
Oh. Good question. Hold on, I think I can find that out in a second. I don't know the number off the top of my head. There are some libraries that are pulled together for the health plans. And then there's a whole other stuff that is only in it for the unemployment insurance pool. So it's the kind of not the number. Let me see if I can find. If I can't find that, I'll get back to you.
Other questions or comments? Over to
Yeah, I'm sorry, I might need to get that.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just wondering how. How much coverage we're talking, like how big of an organization
Yeah.
it
It's
is.
substantial. We're one of the largest, we're one of the largest groups, or group members. Rails is actually a member as well.
Oh,
But it's comprised of a lot of smaller libraries or mid-sized libraries. Yeah.
There's a spelling error in one of the new highlighted areas. It says it's a 2-month premium. I'm assuming it's 2-month premium. Page 22. Under clause 2.
What section?
It is under section N, new membership. It says under section 2, pay a non-reimbursable 2-month premium.
I'm really shocked that there's, but because of the number of times we're, I will note that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure
Yeah,
it's
we keep
intended to be monitored.
I know it's not too long.
I just want clarifications. As I'm reading through this, a lot of these highlighted sections have to do with fees. So I just want clarification. Are these newly established fees that didn't exist before? Or are they an increase to the current fees, and like why the introduction of all these fees?
Just, I guess, for more accountability and incentive to participate fully in the program and have a voice and stay informed. That kind of thing.
Okay.
I think these aren't large fees. It's just kind of like a small incentive to motivate organizations. Okay, I think I have the total versus. So let's see here, there are 65 member library organizations. I say organizations because not all are libraries, strictly like Wales is not a live public library participating in the unemployment portion, and then 33 member organizations participating in the health insurance program. 38 members are part of, well, I guess, kind of share. More. There is one other consortium that I'm aware of that some libraries belong to, it's called WIN. But our library joined Limerick in 2013. It was right around the time I came back.
Other questions, comments? Now can I have a motion to approve the Limerick Intergovernmental Agreement resolutions for administrative and substantive amendments of the intergovernmental agreement as presented,
With the amendment to the word.
with the amendment to law.
I'm gonna enjoy pointing that out to our.
I do proofreading
I don't think
sometimes.
they'll be
at work, so-
amused, but
Still need a motion.
So move.
Second,
I'll second.
okay. Susie, you said this is an individual vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, since it's not spending, why is it an individual vote? I'm not disagreeing, I'm just trying to clarify.
I thought it would be best because of the boarding of fees and all the costs associated with the.
Okay.
potential,
So we'll go individually. Mary,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
and yes, Shabnam,
Yes.
Ella?
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Jane will connect about.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
You
that's
have to sign it.
no problem. Right on to information about the Limerick renewal, separate from these amendments, there's the actual renewal, page 53. Richard, you want
Yeah, I think I kind of spelled it out in my memo here, and this has already been communicated to the staff as well. This afternoon. This morning. So around this time every year, we get information about what the renewal rates will look like for our insurance programs for employees. Calendar year. This year, not every year, but this year happens to be one of the years where our insurance broker, Marsh & McLennan, they went out to the market essentially, so they asked different carriers to provide rates for the coverages that the plans, types of plans that we were looking for. And so after assessing that, they made a recommendation of what the board should move forward with, and so the board, the Limerick board, approved, and the members were informed as well, and approved the renewal with the summary changes that you see before you in the memo. So it is the most significant part of this is the medical plans, of course, with the highest premiums. And that's, the increase for all three plans, kind of a blended increase, average increase is 11%. So it is, it's never, good news to see an increase, but it is reflective of the market. For health insurance these days, so. And it is actually the best option that we had to stay with that for those plans. At this time, I'm not recommending any changes to how the library's contributions, what our contributions are handled. But that is something that the board, if the board would like to discuss that, maybe next year, I think there's a lot of planning that and calculations that we need to do to thoroughly review that.
So we don't need to approve anything.
No, this is just for your information. I always try to keep the board informed of this is a major portion of our budget.
It's
So-
coming.
Yes, yeah, it's a major portion of, what we're able to offer in terms of compensation and total compensation for, a large number of employees. It's not just salary and wages, but the cost that we contribute towards insurance coverages is significant. So 65 to 90% for the various plans, depending on the single and then family coverage. So it's not a small item on our budgets.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe at one point we said this is kind of reflective of other overall trends of costs going up, right? Like this is not the only type of insurance costs that are going up, like building, property insurance is also going up as well, you said, right? So,
Well, yeah, property, liability, cyber, that market has been hard for a long time, actually. I'm on the executive committee for Lyra as well, and that market is coming different. So yeah, you're right.
everything is going up.
Isolated.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why on the board, I'm in favor of going out to market periodically, because we need to test the market to see if it makes sense for us to change from, Aetna to say some other carrier or provider. In this case, this year, it just didn't make sense to do that initially for the group, so that's what we're saying that.
Other questions, comments? Of the coverage? Hearing none, let's move on to page 65, adoption of the 2023 tax levy.
Hey. Get to that in a second.
And this is a change from what we talked about last month based on new information.
Yes. So I know there's a lot of information in this memo, so I won't try to kind of go through it one piece by piece. Please let me know if you want me to dive into any component specifically, but the big thing I wanted to highlight was that last month we, Blythe and I shared information that indicated that we thought that there might be basically a deficit in our projections of expenditures over revenues. So we took a hard look at all the information, and then right around the time of last month's board meeting actually is the time of the year when Blythe usually finds out how much our current fiscal year corporate replacement tax revenue is calculated, projected to be. And so we had budgeted for, how much was it?
400,000.
400,000, and it turned out to be,
The state estimates a portion of what they give to the village, which is 22.35%, should be 851,000.
so. we
That's what
have-
they're estimating for fiscal year 24.
So if you go down to, the second page where it says projected revenue, I have a comment in there where there's an expected fiscal year 2024, which is this current fiscal year, not next year, a budget surplus for that particular revenue source, corporate replacement taxes at $450,000. So Normally, in the past, when we've had an unexpected budget surplus for a line, a revenue source like that. We finish out the fiscal year, we see that we have more revenues than expenditures, and then the board has a decision to make about whether or not to move some of that money into our reserve fund or keep it in the operating fund. This year, what we would like to do, or what our suggestion is to consider that budget surplus that we know we should expect in this fiscal year. To carry that over essentially as revenue that we can use, or funds we can use for next year's budget. If that makes sense. So we know we have more money coming than we expected this current fiscal year. We want to take that portion and use it, put it into our projections for next fiscal year's budget. That budget has not been created yet. I just want to clarify that the board looks at that in February, March, April of every year. But we shared a kind of a very preliminary look at what those numbers might look like. Please don't hold us to exactly to those numbers for each line, but that is just kind of a like I said, preliminary look at what those numbers may look like. And when we factor in the $450,000 that we think we will have in the budget surplus from our replacement taxes, we think we'll be able to cover the additional costs of health insurance, business insurance, etc. So without reducing any service budget lines, like collections, programming. So good news. Like I said, when we discussed it after the meeting and considered this new way of possibly using our current projected budget surplus in our line, this should cover it without having to increase the tax levy.
Great.
Yeah.
It's really great.
I do have a small comment at the very end of my memo saying that if the board wanted to still approve a tax levy increase this year, it would benefit of us, of course, and kind of just create a little bit more security, stability, guarantee of like possibly strengthening our reserve fund position and our operating fund position. But I really believe that this year we can go with other tax levy increase. This is not to say that next year we are guaranteed to be in the same position where this is going to set a precedent. I just want to make that clear as well. If we have any questions, Blythe and I can answer. This is my last meeting here, so we should probably
Question.
give them a really tough one.
Might want to tune in.
Yeah.
I said something was changing. I'm like, but what's gonna happen next year? Are the meetings online?
In my meeting, I'm like,
Something next year. Not we, what are you?
I think I really appreciate how you laid this out in memo. So I want to say thank you for laying it out that way. And even though this change happened, I still appreciate how you looked at that 1% to 2% and broke that down into increments. That being said, at least for me, I am in alignment with what you're suggesting of not, imposing a levy,
increase.
Yes, however, I keep in my mind what you said at the last meeting, Ella, where I think we just have to keep our eyes on everything and make sure that, it's better to do these smaller incremental raises rather than suddenly we're not keeping as close of an eye on something and then we have to do like a much larger levy when it hits people's pocketbooks. So I'm in favor, I don't know how everyone else feels, I'm just saying, I'm in favor of not imposing a higher levy now, but still keeping in mind for future things, kind of doing a more smaller incremental approach rather than a larger levy. So that's where I stand.
Other comments, questions?
I echo here. I think we should take it year by year and see where we're at financially and standing, we still have money in reserves, we have money covered for, you know, the projects that we have coming up, so. You know, I would not at this time want to move forward with it. Tax increase. Tax levy.
Yeah, I think it's a huge benefit. Well, quality in that is.
Yeah, it's something that we talked about, not wanting to, I know there was concern about if we have to make cuts, where would they be, and let's talk about it. This avoids that discussion or pushes it off at least. It's not a bad thing. I do want to clarify though, that the board still needs to approve the actual total dollar amount for the levies. So
Okay.
that- motion so that.
Yeah,
We can move forward with that.
Okay.
It's not that there's no action required.
If people are okay with the 0% increase, not here we are. We need a motion to adopt a 0% increase for the 2023 tax levy, resulting in a total levy $13,474,986.
Second.
Obviously, individual vote for money. Ella?
Yes.
Shabnam?
Yes.
Yes. Michelle?
Yeah.
Mary?
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for all your preparation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So final question, if 2 trains are coming. All right. On to election of board officers to fill vacancies. So, with this being the first meeting without Noreen, who is vice president, I'm still president, Shabnam is still secretary, but we need to, elect a new vice president, and depending on the vote, potentially a new secretary, so that's why it's vacancies plural, if we need to do both, so. Richard, anything you wanna add to that?
No, okay, it covers it.
So to fill the spot for vice president, open for nominations.
Are we allowed to nominate someone who is not present? Like if we want to nominate Mira. Is that bad to do?
Years ago, that's how it became.
Maybe that's the right precedent, there is precedent. I will say though, I think Mira has served on the board for a long time. She has great, historical presence. She knows a lot of things. So I hope that she won't be mad at me later. I would like to nominate Mira.
Second. Who second other nominations? I would nominate Shabnam, secretary. Deborah?
So that sounds good.
Do we have a second?
I'll second shot.
All right. Any other nominations? Right, and all in favor of Shabnam for vice president, say aye.
Aye.
All right, congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We now have a vacancy to fill.
So you look at that.
In secretary, which requires signing some things, is that
Yes.
I'm reading the Rails report. All right, so nominees for secretary.
I'd like to nominate Mary.
You're.
Like you said, Mary.
You're.
Wait, do you have to, just to be clear, do you have to attend like Rails the meeting? You just have to read the.
You can attend.
I'm just asking you to work obligations and that kind of thing.
We kind of.
Yeah, that should happen to the report. So,
Okay.
no, there's no real obligation. Awesome. There's no extra meeting.
I'm just making sure, because obviously if it's a responsibility, I just want to make sure that,
Sure.
yeah, that's the reason I'm asking, not trying to get out of anything, just, I do it a 9 to 5.
I mean, I can comment a little bit on, historically, if there is a dire emergency at the library and I need to get in contact with a board member, obviously, Jean as the vice president would be the first call. If, I can't reach Jean, you know, it's like vice president and then the secretary, but I try to, on things that are kind of pressing with emergency expenditures, like if the building, something fell apart, we have to know. It's in between board meetings.
Yeah, I can't remember you ever getting to this.
Oh, no, yeah,
Well, you may have got the vice president, though.
yeah, you're probably right, but, that kind of thing can happen and then.
It could happen, but it's not. Okay.
Right, and I try to like, get two officers, you know, so there is that element,
Okay.
and then in the absence of. The president or vice president in a, board meeting, if, you know, they just can't make it, then. The secretary would be the board officer who would preside over the.
It's a lot of fun. You get to sign on that stuff.
I'll accept.
We have a second for Mary.
Seconded, like,
Any other nominations? Now, all in favor of Mary as secretary, say aye.
I'll vote.
Unanimous. Thank you. Very good. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the both our new officers.
Everything, website updated and.
Does this mean a new swearing in thing?
No, the swearing in is for joining the, being seated on the board. Unless you want us to do something. Maybe that's just something.
All right, so then, I'm going to propose is that we go out of open session, go into closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1 and 120/2C3 of the Open Meeting Act, so we can discuss new membership and we can discuss the personnel review issue. I have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?